As we've been hearing, the UN Refugee Agency says the number of people fleeing Ukraine has now passed the 1 million mark, making it the fastest exodus of refugees so far this century. Most are heading towards Poland, with other neighbouring countries like Romania also taking refugees. But some are having to wait longer than others to cross to safety, as DW correspondent Fanny Facsar observed at Porubne on the border.
Finally here. Thousands are pouring towards the Ukrainian border with Romania as word spreads of the tailback of refugees at the Polish crossing. With harrowing images still in their minds and few items in their hands, they arrive at the last checkpoint to safety. Oksana and her kids needed 4 days to get here from Kyiv. On her mind, what's ahead? We are going to look for work because I need to provide for my children, and my husband stayed to defend his country. Men of fighting age between 18 and 60 have to stay. There are also many non-Ukrainians who want to leave, students, migrant workers, about 500,000 according to UN estimates.
Hundreds of thousands of people are fleeing for their lives, heading west for the border. Now, all these people from across Ukraine are running from the same thing, but are they all getting the same treatment?
Ahmed fled from heavily bombed Kharkiv, a student from Egypt. He says he's growing frustrated about being made to wait in freezing temperatures while Ukrainians are let through.
They let us only pass after about hundreds of Ukrainians we will pass. I can't say anything about this, but still, we are humans also. They should care more about us.
Ahmed says he has already been to Lviv, but was not let through at the border with Poland there.
We are far away from our countries. It's the same situation. It's war also on us. I don't think we should die for them to live. Everyone should live.
His friend, also from Egypt, disagrees.
I feel about these people, they have no home to go. And actually we have home, we have Egypt, we can go now, like you see, but they don't have any place to go.
Officials here do not want to talk on camera about why there are two lines, one for foreigners, one for Ukrainians. But they tell us their goal is to maintain calm here. There is concern that the situation might get out of control as more refugees take the alternative route to Romania. We are not allowed to film Ahmed and his friend cross the border, but after a few hours, they do, just like thousands of others, finally into safety.
DW correspondent Fanny Facsar, who filed that report, joins me now. Fanny, you're about 50 kilometres from the border with Romania and Moldova. How is the situation where you are?
People here in Chernivtsi, which is, about 50 to 60 kilometers from the border with Romania, are trying to gather basically, first of all the belongings and the energy to make it through this next challenge to get across the border. The people who arrive here in Chernivtsi have been through a lot already. Some of them have been actually traveling for the past 4 days to make it from Kiev or from Kharkiv all the way here to the southwestern part of Ukraine. So the next challenge to them, trying to make it across the border, and as we have seen in that report, but also yesterday being at the border with Romania, there are a lot of people who are now trying to look for alternative routes. As we know, at the beginning of this full-scale invasion that started last week, in fact, just a week ago on Thursday, a lot of people were pouring towards the western border with Poland. But now, as more and more people are trying to make it through Poland, which is getting more and more difficult by the day, they're also looking for alternative routes, be it through Romania, Moldova, Hungary. There is a calm tense at the border that we have witnessed yesterday, because you have to imagine, once you make it to the border, you really have been through a lot, regardless whether you are an adult or a child. And obviously, being a child, you experience things on a different level, even more so. But people are just trying to get across the border and bring their own life and that of their families to safety.
Well, you've obviously been speaking to lots of people there trying to flee, hearing those harrowing stories. What kind of stories have been... Paint us a picture, if you will, of what people's stories there.
people who were coming from Kharkiv, for example, that one family, that mother with 4 children, she was basically telling us if she didn't have any children, she probably would have stayed with her husband. Now, we hear that from a lot of women who really are just... it's inconceivable actually to all of us what this means, that you are trying to save one part of your family while you have to leave another part behind, because obviously if you're a man of fighting age between 18 and 60, you have to stay in Ukraine. You have to be ready if you get that call to actually join this fight and go to the front line, even though a lot of men voluntarily have already done so because they don't want to give up any land, they don't want to give up the sovereignty of their country. Also, we see a lot of children at the border crying. They are waiting there in freezing temperatures with their mother, and you don't even want to know what the eyes of these children have seen already. It's really a very heart-wrenching situation, even for us, just observing it and having to film this, obviously, to keep everyone informed, let alone what about the mental state of these people who have been through this. Some really needed not just 4 days to arrive from Kharkiv to the Romanian border, but actually there were also people who tried to make it across the Polish border. So they were already in Lviv, which is the major town, before crossing to Poland. They didn't get through, so they came to this part of the country. A lot of exhaustion there that we could see, but also a lot of fear and concern in the eyes of the people standing in line, trying to make it out of this country.
And Fanny, where are most people headed? What have they been telling you? Do they plan to stay in Romania or those bordering countries, or do they want to travel further into Western Europe?
Depends. If you speak to foreigners, there are about 500,000 students and migrant workers who are here in Ukraine, and they are telling us they're trying to actually make it home. So home could be anything from Egypt, Nigeria, if they actually get the support from the government, because obviously it's very difficult right now to navigate anyone out of this country and to safety. But most people I've been speaking to are just happy to make it across the border, be in Romania, be in Bucharest, in the capital city, and then move further north, move probably to Germany or Poland, because in Poland this is where there is a significant Ukrainian minority. So the Ukrainians especially, they want to make it to Poland actually, where they have relatives. So it depends where you have family. But the priority of people who are at the border here with Romania, their priority is now just to get out of the country without having to stay in line for hours, as we have witnessed yesterday here in Chernivtsi, which is basically the last stop before you exit this country.
All right, Fanny, thank you. DW's Fanny Facsar in Western Ukraine.